What's up guys, it's the Cheapster here back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about that dirty C word. That word that people like Dave Ramsey really don't like, credit. That's right, credit. If you're in your late teens or your early 20s or maybe even other times of life, you've probably been starting to hear people talk about credit, how it's so important for you to build it. You might be hearing people say that you have to have it to be able to buy a house down the road, and it might be kind of confusing because without credit you might be wondering what the heck it is and how you can get it, and also how the whole thing even works at all. But starting to build credit will probably be one of the most important decisions you make in your 20s, or possibly even earlier or even later, just wherever you're at right now if you don't have credit. And that's because credit scores are heavily weighted on the length of time you've had credit, so having them longer is going to make your credit score usually better. Now there's a lot of opinions on credit and of course credit cards, and opinions on if you actually need them or if they're good to have. But I think for the financially responsible person, credit is a really great tool to help you build wealth drastically over the long run. Credit used incorrectly though could drastically ruin your life, so emphasis on the financially responsible person, which of course everybody who watches my videos is, right? So first off, I do want to say if you're somebody who does not have very good control of their spending, you should first work on building up your budgets, making sure that you're keeping control of your budgets and your spending before you start to worry about anything like building your credit. If you don't have control of your spending, then you probably just should not even have credit in the first place, because having no credit score is a lot better than having a really bad one. Not to mention all the debt that could come around with that could truly ruin your life. So now that that's out of the way, this video will cover what exactly a credit score is, how you can get started with building one, and how you can work to make sure that you can improve your credit score to maybe the top level. So starting off with understanding credit, let's talk about what the credit scores are and what they mean. Most commonly in the past, the credit scores have most commonly been Equifax and TransUnion, but lately the FICO score has become more of a standard score. And Equifax, TransUnion, FICO, all these are companies that compile information about you to decide how risky you are as a borrower. So different credit scores between these are just different company methods used to figure out how risky you are as a borrower. It's basically like your very own Amazon product review, but you are the product. So the next part of understanding credit is understanding why it is important. And of course, a big part, like I said, you probably have already heard that credit's important for buying a house down the road. It can also be important for things like getting a loan for maybe school or a car, which I hope you can actually avoid both of those. It also helps you get better access to credit cards that you can responsibly use to get free cash back on purchases that you would make anyway, not to be used for purchases that you wouldn't be able to make if you didn't have a credit card, because interest rates are usually around like 20% or something. So please do not use credit cards like that. This is that area of using credit to possibly ruin your life that I mentioned earlier. But overall, credit can be really helpful because getting a house can really help you build wealth down the road, and the cash back for credit cards is just something that can build up and just be free money if you use it responsibly. So now you might be asking, well, how do you get credit? And the answer is, well, by using it, of course. Oh, you don't have any credit? Well, you better go get some if you want to build some. I mean, come on. It's not that complicated. Just go get some credit by having credit so that you can use your credit to get credit. I mean, come on. Is it really that hard? Yeah, this part of credit is pretty frustrating because it does seem pretty dumb that you need the credit to build the credit. It's like trying to make a furnace that makes bricks out of bricks when you don't have the bricks yet to make the bricks. But don't worry, there's actually some easy ways that you can get started to get credit. And once you're in the cool club, it's pretty easy to build some credit from there. Disclaimer, the Cool Club is only for financially responsible people. Please do not try to get into the Cool Club if you're not a financially responsible person, if you do not pay your bills on time, And the last part of understanding credit is, like I've said a few times already, is learning to be responsible with your credit before you ever get it. If you're gonna have a credit card, you need to be a very financially self-controlled person and preferably a strict budget that you stick to. I put every purchase I make on a credit card so that I can get the most cash back, but I already have all my money budgeted out, so there's no chance that I spend more than what I have. And credit card companies can be pretty easy to get money from because they make large interest rates off of the money that you don't pay them back. So definitely make sure you have a good understanding of your finances before you ever get started with credit. All right, so from here, if you've decided you're financially responsible enough to get credit, let's talk about how you can start building credit. So the first step I would say is to download a credit monitoring app so that you can just look at the fact that you don't have credit right now. Now the apps I've heard of that are pretty big are Credit Karma, Experian, Credit Sesame, and possibly even your bank will show you your credit score. I personally use and recommend Credit Karma. They show you your Equifax and TransUnion credit score. As of right now, they don't show you your FICO score, but I do have a way you can get that for free that I'll talk about in a minute. And like I said, I do think some banks will also give you your credit score for free, so check into that if you just have an account with any bank. And from there, the ways that you can actually get started with building credit from no credit score is to 1, get a secured credit card, 2, get a loan that's co-signed by somebody, or 3, there's a possibility that you can actually use your utility history, and it looks like that might be more coming into the future. So first off, one common way that you could build credit that hopefully you actually can avoid is to have a student loan that's co-signed by like a parent or something. That's actually how my credit got started before I even knew what credit was, but hopefully that's something you can avoid altogether so you don't have to pay a loan, and you can take one of these other options to build credit. So the best way that I recommend that you start building credit is to get a secured credit card. And the first card that I ever got that I also recommend is the Discover It secured credit card. I may have a referral link down below in the description that you can use to sign up for this. I think they allow me to use referral codes, but it's always confusing, so I have to look into it. So you're probably wondering what a secured credit card is. Well, basically it's kind of like a debit card that you're going to put money on, but they're going to keep it and give you credit. So basically the way this works is like when I opened my card, I gave them I think $300, and they hold that $300, and then they give me $300 in credit, but really they have the $300 I gave them as collateral if I don't pay it. So $300 is the most I would be able to spend on that card anyway, and they had that, so if I didn't pay them, they have my money. So it's basically just a way that the credit card company has full collateral if you don't pay your credit card bill, which hopefully you do, because that's kind of the whole point of trying to build credit, not build bad credit. But you do that for I think a year, and that should build some credit to where they'll probably give you a Discover It full credit card from that point. And the nice thing about Discover is they also give you free access to your FICO score. I think it's once a month that they update it for you. So I really recommend that way because I think that's a really quick, easy way that you can get to building credit. But you do want to make sure you obviously use that card, and obviously that you pay it off every month. Do not leave a balance on it, or else this will work exactly the opposite of what you want. Also, just a quick side note here in case people don't know, you can pay off your credit card before the end of the month. You can pay it off at any time as long as the transaction is fully pended through. You can go ahead and pay that off. That's the way I do things. I'm constantly paying off my credit card. I don't wait till the end to try to pay it off, because from there it could be really easy to forget, and then you miss it, and then you have to pay interest, and then affects your credit and stuff. And last, like I said, there is a possibility that you could use your utility bill history or your apartment payments to show to a company like TransUnion or Equifax to show that you pay off your bills every month, and maybe they'll be able to give you credit through that. Now, I'm not sure if that truly does work. I've heard people say that it can work, but I don't know. I think it's much easier just to get a secured credit card to start building. Okay, so that's what credit is, how you can get it, and next let's talk about how you can maintain and monitor your credit so that you can build it to a good level. The first thing I want to say is it will take time, so don't worry about that. It's definitely going to take a lot of time. Just stay on top of it and wait, and eventually you should have a good credit score. Time is one of the main things, like I said, that affects your credit, to show that you make your payments every month and that you're going to be a good borrower that's actually going to pay back the money they borrowed. Showing that you've been a borrower for years with no negative remarks on your account is really what credit companies are looking for. I mean, just think about it in terms of if you were going to give somebody money and expect to be paid back, would you really want to give it to your sketchy cousin Tyler? He doesn't really pay people back, I'm just saying. But that's just really what they're looking for, is to build a history to show that you're actually going to be good for paying back the money. And the next biggest thing to monitor is to make sure that you never miss a payment or have any negative impact on your credit. This is super important because negative impacts on your credit can take a long time to be removed from your account. Also, things like running your credit too often, what is called a hard inquiry, is something that can also damage your credit, but it's something you're going to have to do every now and then. This is one of those things that's kind of like a catch-22 with the whole getting the credit thing in the first place. When you want to actually use the credit, it kind of hurts your credit because they're like, oh, you're looking for more money, so you're not as trustworthy. It's just some goofy stuff like that with credit, but don't be too worried about it. But the main thing to know is just try not to pull hard inquiries as much as you can. Like for instance, a while back, I had a car payment and we went to a dealer to ask them to pull it to get a loan, and they pulled it 5 times with different companies, and that really hurt our credit score. What we should have done is just waited to pay for the car in cash. But anyway, what we should have done is just found one loan company that we were good with, that we could have gone through to have one hard inquiry instead of taking all 5 of those. There are companies that will let you do what's called a soft inquiry that don't affect your credit and will kind of give you an idea of what rate they're going to give you. So whenever you're looking for a loan or credit, try to do a soft inquiry instead of a hard inquiry until the last second that they need to pull your hard inquiry when you're sure you're going with them. And the last thing to tell you is if you follow all these steps, I can guarantee eventually you will have a great credit score. It really mostly takes time and consistently just making your payments. If you download Credit Karma, they have recommendations on ways that you can help build your credit. So if you follow those, you'll have good credit in no time. Well, not technically in no time, because it will for sure take some years, but you get what I mean. But that is the reason everyone tells you to start so young, because it's going to be much easier if you get started, as long as you're responsible though. Like I've said, you need to be responsible. So hopefully this clears up some things on what credit is and the ways that you can use it to responsibly use it as a tool to build wealth for the future. And I know I've said it a bunch, but I cannot stress enough how much you need to be financially responsible with your credit, because it's something that can truly make or break you. Credit can get you into a house that allows you to stop paying rent and start building equity, which honestly lately has been one of the fastest ways to build up your equity. Or credit can get you into some serious debt that can take you a lifetime to dig yourself out of or lead to bankruptcy. And trust me, going bankrupt is much worse than what you see on Wheel of Fortune. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any other questions about credit or anything I didn't mention in this video, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll get to it to answer your question. I'm always open to helping you guys out, learn to build wealth and use credit responsibly, as long as I can find your comment through the sea of spam. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked the video, remember to do the cheapest thing you can today. Tap that like button. Also subscribe to the channel for more tips on making money, saving money, and building wealth. And I will see you guys in the next video. And remember, stay financially responsible and cheap.
Be saving that money. Don't you be spending it now. You're still here watching this? You might as well just subscribe. Why would you not at this point?